Hearts, Brutal Vows, and I can't.
His name's David.
Awesome.
Fiance's
Good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching this. Welcome back to After Dark with Books. I am Amanda.
Hi, I'm Melissa. Good morning. Welcome back.
Today's episode, we will be talking about the Queens and Monster series. Ruthless Creatures, Savage Hearts, Brutal Vows, and I can't pronounce book 2, but there is book 1 and 2. Melissa has held up.
Yes, we'll be discussing these.
Okay, so book 1. Got my notes. So if you see me looking, I'm looking at our notes for all 4 books.
Mm-hmm.
So book 1 is about Natalie, and it's Natalie Salone. They're best friends, and they're at a bar. That's where it starts off. And they see this buff man, I guess. And backstory on Natalie is her fiance dipped out on her 5 years ago. Nowhere to be seen or heard of. I can't remember the fiance's name, so we're just going to call him fiance. If you know his name, put it in the comments.
Yeah, because I can, like I said, I could be looking it up as you're talking to see if I can find it.
So they're at a bar. They notice this big buffy, say big buff guy with tattoos.
His name's David.
Awesome.
Fiance's name is David.
Yeah, so David dips out, and Natalie just doesn't, I don't know, she seems like she just doesn't want to be in love at all, in fear of being hurt.
Mm-hmm. It's like she shuts down. I noticed that in the book. At the beginning, she just was shutting down. Like, didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to do anything, talk to anyone. And then she was dating that one dude, and then they break up.
Oh, the cop was here. He was a cop, right? Chris was a cop.
I think so. His name was Chris, and he broke up with her because she just wasn't feeling him. You know, he was an idiot anyway. I didn't like him.
Yeah, and stalker. I could picture him, this scrawny looking, stalkerish kind of person.
Yeah.
So they're at a bar, and Cage is sitting there. Salone's like, look at him. I bet he's got a big you-know-what.
And I'm going to get him tonight and blah, blah, blah. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, but I remember Cage telling Natalie that Salone hit on him when Natalie went to the bathroom. He wasn't interested in her.
No, he wasn't. He's like, peace out. It's like, but he kept looking at Natalie because there was a reason why he was looking at Natalie.
Right.
He was like, fuck you looking at type thing. I could just see her rolling her eyes and like, what the hell?
I could picture her being a petite little firecracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but little did she know she would wake up and he is her new next door neighbor, and all she could hear is,
oh, I know,
of the punching bag.
Well, because I don't think she knew what that was at first, and she was going around looking, I guess, to figure out what that noise was.
Right.
And yeah, and then she was like, what the hell? And then didn't he come over?
Yeah, I think he went over there to introduce himself, maybe. And Salone, every time Salone and her got on the phone, she's like, you need to get that. I bet he has a big, and you need to, open your womanhood, because it's probably all cobwebs and all that. You need to get out there.
Yeah, I remember her saying that. I do remember.
Yeah, and Natalie was like, why are you so invested in my hoo-ha?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love Salone. That was my favorite character throughout the whole series.
Yeah, you could be a Salone with,
most definitely.
I would be sarcastic,
mouthy person.
The only thing I forgot is how Natalie and Cage ended up together. I forgot totally if it was during the shooting that was in the club. I forgot how they ended up together.
It was after that.
After the shooting?
Yeah, it was after the shooting. I want to say it was after the shooting.
That later on we find out who really started that whole freaking thing in the club.
Yeah, it was the other people.
It was Salone, remember? Salone's the one.
because the guy hit her ass or something, like smacked her ass. And at first I didn't understand why were they fighting in the first place, because I thought everything was cordial when they all walked in and everything. And then I was like, what? So yeah, that's right. It was Salome. She's the
Yeah,
one that
and
started it.
then I didn't realize how big of a mobster. We later find out that Cage is this big Russian mob. Was it mafia or a mobster?
Mafia? I think it
Maybe
was
the Russian mafia.
it was the Russian mafia, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the Russians were cool and all, no. But I love the Irish.
What did you think of Stavros in book
Oh,
one?
he was
Because
a little bitch. Stavros, it was like a little bitch, and he had some type of fetish. I forgot what it was.
shoes.
Yeah, it was like shoe fetish or something of Salome's.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really, bro? Really? Bro. Yeah, he was too clingy and just, nah. I just picture him like this little whiny little man or something. I don't know. He just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, and then once Cage and Natalie got together, he set her up with a bank account. She didn't use it.
Oh, yeah, let's get back to that. Towards the end of the book, the person that was supposed to be in prison popped up and was like, where's the money and this and that? Because Natalie Cage came there to I think go after Natalie, right? On the
Yeah,
line?
unalive her. Yeah, and the big dog came in with his guys, and he was getting ready to. He's like, "Where's the money? How could you be dating two people at once?" I was confused about that. And then
And then
somebody
that's when they explained who her fiance was.
who he really was. And then remember from his apartment complex, somebody came over.
Yeah,
and
the
there was
guy
an
came over.
envelope.
The envelope, and she was trying to figure out about the key. If you guys about the key, and then she's like, where does this key go to? And then bam, she figured it out.
Yes.
It was a lockbox. And then she
followed the trail of her and Cage got into it when she really found out who Cage was and what he was there for. And then she followed the trail that David left behind, and she actually went where she was actually supposed to meet him 5 years ago. And she was told that he was married, he had kids previous before he went into witness protection program. And she was so pissed off at Cage, she went to this place, and David was already married again.
Yep. And then when the new wife came and she told him, Natalie said his real name, the wife was like, I seen it. I could see it in the back of my head. Like she was looking around like, what the hell? What the fuck? Oh, that was crazy. Because I thought he died, the fiance. Nope. And then towards like the middle, towards the end, I was like, wait a minute. And then I started thinking, I was like, wait, maybe something else happened to him. Maybe he could be still alive. And he was. He had to leave right away and change his name.
Do you remember what he told her? Well, she asked him, well, how long did you wait to get married to this other woman? And he's like, a year.
A year.
You weren't fast enough to come here. I thought that was kind of like, okay, I know your mentality now.
Yeah, but he should have tried to I understood why he couldn't leave as much clues, but he should have tried to leave something else to give her that clue, because if that person never came, she would have never known.
No, never.
She would have
never. And then
never known.
That book ends with Cage and Natalie together, and I forgot how that one ended, how they, lived happily ever after or whatever.
I don't remember, but I know book 2, Salome comes to visit Natalie. She ends up getting snatched and kidnapped by Declan. Sorry, that's my favorite book. That was my favorite book, book 2. I know I shouldn't be excited about someone getting kidnapped, and she's just like her attitude and the way she was talking, she's just like da 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 da. And what's your name? And then she's like making friends with the guards and everything. She's like, I'll cook you dinner. And then she found out about Spider. She's like, "What's your name, Spider?" But that's not his real name. I forgot his real name. Oh, I just remembered.
Homer.
Mm-hmm.
Homer from a favorite artist, but he the nicknames he would come up with for her, or I hope I have a heart attack.
It was very sarcastic. I can't think of specific nicknames, but it was
devilish
funny.
Woman, the woman, and then I thought when she thought she was pregnant, he brought Stavros back into the picture. And then when he found out that she wasn't, and I could picture them on a plane, Stavros and Stallone on a plane, and him holding this big old bomb thing or whatever it was he had in his hand, getting ready to the plane.
Yep, that one. I don't know. Book 2 this one was my favorite. Hands down.
I think what made it enjoyable is their back and forth with each other and the nicknames they would call each other, or when she would sit there and text him like, "Hey, don't forget to get me this," or "Hey, don't forget to do this," and he's like, "Okay, you need to stop texting me now. I'm about to die because of you."
Yeah, I thought that was funny. And then towards the end, wait, no, that's third book. Never mind. Wrong one.
And he, I think, put it into place to where, okay, he found out she wasn't pregnant with Stavros, and he called Cage and was like, "Hey, can you do me a favor and have Stavros unalive for me?"
Yeah, but he obviously didn't, because they wanted Declan, because Cage and Declan are from two different, because Declan's the Irish
and Cage is the
Russian,
the head of the Russian mob.
Yeah, so they're always feuding with each other anyway, so it ended up not working out. But since he got with Natalie and then Stallone was with Declan, they had to kind of compromise and work together a little bit. They still hate each other.
Let's not forget the spice in these two books, book 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah. So that spice was spicing in all the books. I was like, you're doing what and how and huh? So yeah, the spice in the book was crazy.
It really was. There were some things that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, some of it I was like, ooh, but
and the narrators do an amazing job from book 1 and 2.
They were going back and forth. There was no male trying to be a female or vice versa. I liked that they were different characters coming in and out, doing their own parts.
Yeah, the duel, they would go back and forth each chapter, or every other couple of chapters, it would go back and forth from Declan to Stallone or Cage to Natalie.
Yeah, I did like that. These books did that. I don't really like when a narrator, I mean, I don't mind it, but I don't like it, is a male and he's trying to portray a female voice. I don't like that.
Well, right. And I totally agree with you, because I had issues reading another book like that where a female was trying to pretend to be a male or a dragon. And it just, I already had in my head I know who this person sounds like. It just sounded off. But these two narrators do an amazing job.
Well, not this one exact. This series, the last book I read, What Hunts Behind the Shadows or whatever, those books, it was doing that, and I didn't like that. I was like, why? Just have the male and the female duel, but it didn't. So I don't. That's one thing I don't like about when it's the audiobook and they try to do that.
Oh, but the male narrator and the female narrators did an amazing job. And it was almost that Natalie and Stallone's narrators were two different women. I don't think it was the same.
No, they weren't. They were different. Even in the third book, and there's 4 books, right? Yeah. Even the 4th book, they were different. I mean, it was the same characters, Natalie, for each character in every character that came in was a different voice. Shoot, it should have
Right.
been just graphic audio. That would have been so cool if it was graphic audio.
Oh,
You
I
can hear the
know.
cars skirting, the
Uh-huh.
gunshots, the oh my gosh, that would have been so cool if it was graphic audio.
Oh yeah, I think so too. But I
Mm.
like how even though we're with book 1 and 2, and then we'll get with book 3 and 4. I like how book 1 and 2 they're different couple characters, but they still with book 2 they still had Natalie and Cage kind of in there, but not as much.
That's what I wanted to tell you that each book it had the different characters, but they entwined together, and in whatever last book they do come together, but it was like towards the end. It wasn't throughout the book.
Right, and you still had to read these books in order, even though they're two separate.
Oh yeah, you couldn't
you had to read
go
them
and
in
read
order.
them differently in different order. You had to read them in order because then you would be confused on the storyline. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I was trying to tell. I was like, and I couldn't tell you because you haven't read them, and I was like, oh, so that's like okay for the third book, Riley and oh I forgot the guy that kidnapped her.
Matt. I think his name was Matt.
Okay, how Salone wasn't in the book until towards the end of it. Now Spider was in and out of it a little bit because Spider came and was looking for her in Russia, and they were in Russia. Yeah, they were in Russia.
Yeah, Russia.
But other than that, Declan and Sloane and Cage and Natalie, they weren't in the book until towards the end.
Right.
And so even the fourth book, because when I wanted to tell you it was Spider, but I couldn't tell you it was Spider because it was about him with the arranged marriage. So yeah, it was kind of hard to tell you that.
I like book 3. Not as much as book 2, but I like book 3. I don't know if it was because
How did he get up in that bunker though in book 3? Because remember they went down and they were underground and no one could get in and no one can get out. Like
yeah.
So that just reminded me, like when they got in, that was like one of the main ways to get in. So how the hell, Matt, how the hell did he get up in that bunker where Riley was? In her room.
Watching her sleep.
Exactly. And then Spider opens fire and thinking that he's got him, but he ended up getting her.
Yep.
But he never explained how he got in there.
Well, yeah, and then he takes her.
Mm-hmm.
And takes her to get surgery, removes her kidney because I guess that's where Spider, poo-poos her. And he takes care of her, takes her to Russia, somewhere in the forest. And then he finds out that he's going to be next in line for the head of the Russian mafia in Russia.
And then Riley going off on the head on the guy. What the hell? Girl,
that's something you would do. That would be something you would do. Who cares if you're at the head of something? You would be. I'm not going to listen to you. That whole moment, I was like, Melissa would do some shit like that with like the head of anybody.
I'd be like, you're not talking to me any kind of way. Who you think you're talking to?
The only thing I didn't like about this is how fast Mac was so quick to just push her out after he found out he was going to be the head, and he called Spider and said, pick her up.
Because he wanted to protect her. I was thinking that he wanted to protect her. Okay, if you guys hear a chicken, I'm so sorry. I'm sitting by a window. I don't know where this chicken coming from because there's no houses directly behind me.
Uh-huh.
It must be somewhere at a neighbor. But I keep hearing a damn chicken.
That's funny. My neighbor has chickens, and we rarely hear them.
No, I don't know why I'm hearing it because I'm surprised that there is anything going on around here. So because neighbor don't have them, so I don't know what neighbor, but it's super quiet, so it's probably an echo from somewhere because I can hear it.
Probably
crazy. Yeah, chickens.
But do you remember when he sent her back and she was with Salome and Declan, and Mac was still spying on her.
Yes, how the hell did it get there?
And how did he go to the bathroom in the beginning and felt sorry for her because he thought she was some kind of prostitute or slave worker? How did he get in the bathroom and get out of the bathroom without Spider seeing him?
Exactly. And how, and then when she took a walk on the beach, no, was that her? Or was that Salome in book 2? Uh-oh. I think I'm getting them mixed up.
Well, no, he spotted her in the balcony.
Yeah, it was a balcony, and he still thought that she was like a prostitute or something. And she's the sister because Salome was getting married. Was going to get married.
Yeah, and you know what? What's up with these mobsters and mafia men wanting to spank their women when they misbehave?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just in the book. I don't really
think it's real. And then, like, I think all 3 of them so far, because I don't remember the lady in book 4 saying it, but Salome, Natalie, and Riley, they always call their men gangster. Okay, gangster. Okay, gangster. That didn't bother me. I just thought it was funny that all 3 of them they all ended up calling him gangster. Okay, gangster.
Yeah, I think it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
They're like pet names, nicknames, or whatever they had for each other in these books. For some reason, it didn't bother me. But in Pen Pal, it did.
And you know what? I kind of liked her writing style in this book.
I liked her writing style a lot better in this series than Pen Pal.
Yeah, I really did.
The world build. Pen Pal was a good book. It was a good book. But I don't know. This series. If I wish I can go back and read it. The second book, like I have never, how do you say it? Like you've never read it before. That's good.
You know what you should do? You should listen to Pen Pal because Pen Pals, the same narrator who narrated The Man in all these books is the same narrator in Pen Pal. Yeah, in Pen Pal.
Oh, if I can go back and listen, because like
I don't know if you could here in the Bunny Rabbit or Let's Chase Each Other Around.
Yeah,
I don't know if you could do that.
And then, because I was listening to Onyx Storm, but I returned it back to Hoopla. You know, I returned it because I was just like, you know what? Because I've already read it. I'm not going to go back and re-listen it because I can be listening to books I have.
Others, yeah.
And I know we're going off on a tangent, but it's okay. It's our podcast, and we do what we want. Anyways, I DNF'd the book from Lauren Beale. It was Along for the Ride, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, because I just wasn't feeling the character. And so I was like, I'm a DNF it. And then that's when I started reading.
Yeah, I want to get my hands on that too.
Yeah, it's beautiful edges, inside. I'm trying not to lose place on my bookmark. Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, I'm listening and reading at the same time. What do they call that? Tangent?
I think so.
Reading or whatever book talk lingo you want to call it. So, all right. Book 4. I was like really confused. I was like, why is Spider trying to marry an 18-year-old for an arranged marriage? I know it was for arranged marriage.
Right. I think he was still heartbroken because I think he really, I take that back. He really liked Riley and she fell in love and then she ended up pregnant by Mac. And I think that destroyed him.
That ruined him. But
why go and marry why go be miserable and marry an 18-year-old?
I think it's because he was hurt, but then he ended up finding, what was her name, Ray?
Yeah. Lily, I didn't like Lily, the one he was supposed to marry.
Yeah, that's the 18-year-old. And I didn't like in the book with the racial slur in the 4th book. I did not.
Oh, what Lily's father said when she was getting ready to get married, and he caught the pool boy's father and pool boy's son in the room with Lily.
Yeah, I didn't like what he said. I mean, I understand because it could have been a movie. It could have been, you know. I'm not going to go be butthurt about it and like, I don't like this author because she needs the racial slur. Don't buy her books. Don't read her books. No, I'm not going to do that. It's just,
If it was set in a movie, nobody would really like bat an eye. They'd be like, that would like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I'm not
a
going to
movie.
say what he said. People just has to read it. People are going to have to read it. Watch, we're going to hear some shit about that. Watch. On the fourth book. Somebody going to post it on TikTok. They're going to get butthurt about it. Someone's going to get butthurt.
That's not what we all are. We're not that.
Yeah. So, just wait. Somebody going to post about it. Some bullshit.
But I like how Spider and Ray opened up about their past. It's a different kind of past. You know, Spider tells Ray that he was involved with a married woman at 19. The guy found out.
Oh, yeah. And unalive.
Yeah, unalived his like whole entire family.
Yeah, it was crazy. Because when he kept saying, I don't have any family, and I'm like, what happened? And then when he said unalive, I was just like, what?
Yeah, and then, you know, Ray was in an arranged marriage, which I was surprised that she agreed to marry Spider and go along with.
She liked them.
I think and the mother was hilarious.
Oh, remember? I know, she's sitting there. There's gunfire going off, and she's just chilling in the kitchen drinking some wine or something. I'm like, look at this old lady. I cannot.
The narrator does such an amazing job with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this old Italian lady.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember when they went to Salone's house and they're all eating dinner and Ray and Spider, they're trying to eat the food and they're like, this shit's disgusting. Let's just move over.
Yeah, because Salone cooked. And because she eats all this like grassy, healthy shit.
Yeah, vegetarian food. And Declan's like, so what do you cook? And Salone's like, I could picture Salone giving him that evil lie. Like, don't you be asking another woman to cook for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, that was funny. And then they went and like ate like after somewhere or room service.
Uh-huh. With the spice in this book too, it was rough sex, okay? It was rough. I mean, they both had bad past. They both went through some stuff. Right, and then the way... Well, my favorite part was when Ray talks about her dead husband and how he had and they really didn't do anything. So she was acting out all her urges and fantasies on Spider because her husband, to me, it sounded like he was like this big fat guy with a small one. And she really...
Yeah, I remember. It took me back for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I like the end when they were talking like possibly being... I was like, fifth book's coming.
Yeah, because of the whole bathroom scene with that unknown Irish man, which I swear I've heard his name before, but they left it like that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember what book it was that they left his name.
I don't know, but that ending in the bathroom and you know, now that Ray is head of the Italian mob, right?
Yeah, they were Italian. That's funny. They got the Russians, the Irish, the Italian.
Ended up stealing a whole bunch of money, remember? And he was planning to get his daughter kidnapped for ransom, and Ray was going to have to pay for the ransom money because now she's one of the richest women since her husband's gone.
It turned out being the dad that set everything up because he wanted the money.
That could totally be a movie all in itself. All these books could totally be their own individual movies. I could see
it being a TV series, but it would have to be like Netflix or something because that's those spicy scenes. I don't even have Netflix, so yeah, but it was good. I have to say all 4 books were really good. I didn't know what they were about. I just kept seeing the covers at Walmart and I was like, what is this book? And so that's why I picked it up. I had no clue what it was about.
I went through book 4 in a day. I read that book in 2 days. I read it in 2 days. I just couldn't believe how fast I went through that book.
It brought me back to my Twilight years because I read Twilight all 4 books. Wait, how many? Yeah, all 4 books in about a week. Less than a week. So Ruthless Creatures, the series, I went through those books quick, and they're not. They weren't as thick as like Twilight books. It brought me back to my Twilight years. How fast I read the series.
Yeah, those books. Yeah, those were some big books. Well, they weren't really big books,
No,
but they were big books. But those books, the Ruthless Creatures, those ain't big books.
They were only
300 and something pages.
Yeah, they were under 400 pages. Like this book, if you don't count the bonus chapters, was about 300, less than 350 pages. So they're not that big of books at all. So
oh wow, yeah, they weren't.
They're not, but they're really good. Must read. So, was there anything else?
Nope, that was it. We just wanted to talk about Ruthless Creatures and highly recommend all 4 books. You do have to read them in order, even though they're different couples. But yeah, I give the whole series 5 stars and 6 chili peppers.
Yeah. Now, the only issue I have, I wish they never changed the covers.
No.
Yeah, you're right. To see the guys with the tattoos. I wish I would have had the old covers instead of the new ones. That's my only issue with it. It's just I don't like the covers. And I can't find the old ones. Probably if like someone donates them to like thrift store or something.
I highly doubt that. Those covers are badass.
Yeah, I would love to have those on my shelf. And I would put that with like all my dark romance, my dark mafia. I would start like a dark mafia thing on the back of my bookshelves.
Yeah.
So, but I guess we're going to wrap it up for this week's episode. Thanks again so much for listening and watching, and do all the things. Subscribe, share out our content, and we will catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye.